Are you ready for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous? Because I am.
How are you doing, Crusaders? Here are the most important spells from level 1 to level 6, including top 10 spells in early game, or better to say, all the spells from Act 1 that are useful. We're gonna start off with Cantrips. Divine Zap will always damage enemies. There is no way to miss. Mandatory. Guidance. Better chance to hit enemies. Cast it on everyone before entering combat. Absolutely mandatory cantrip early on. Light. See better in dark areas. Very good early on. Especially during dungeons. Resistance. All of your saves are going up by +1. Cast before entering combat. Virtue. Hit points, or better to say health, is up by +1. Cast it before entering combat. Useful on level 1 and 2. Level 1 spells in your spellbook. The first in order is Bless. Absolutely mandatory. Cast before entering combat. Your hit chance goes up. It's valid from level 1 to level 20. Divine Favor. Absolutely mandatory too. Cast before entering combat. You have 1 minute of it. Your hit chance and damage will go up for a minute. Valid until level 10 or 15. Stunning Barrier, absolutely crazy good. Cast before entering combat, all of your defenses will go up. Enemies will get stunned when hitting you. Very good on bruisers and tanks. True Strike, best level 1 spell in the game, especially for Unfair. Cast before entering combat or during combat. If you have Swift Cast, it's even better. Your hit chance is 20 times higher, nothing more to say about it. Remove Fear, you get +4 bonus to resist fear effects. Very good, it's valid from level 1 to 20. Sleep, great against weaker enemies during Act 1, plus its huge AoE effect. Entangle, easily the best spell in early game as far as crowd control goes. You slow enemies down. You can cast it mid-combat before fight starts if you wanna open up with it, and you have plenty of time to position and deal damage with ranged attacks and spells. Protection from alignment. Your defenses will go up by +2, cast before entering combat. Enlarge, cast before entering combat. You will hit harder, you are tankier, but you are also easier to get hit. Reduce, you're harder to hit, your hit chance goes up, your damage goes down. Unbreakable Heart is great since it stops characters from being confused, but you won't have to worry about it in Act 1 at least, so the spell is basically useless until you reach Act 2. Expeditious Retreat, great one. You move faster, you can position better, nothing else to say about it, cast before entering combat. Magic Missiles, best damage spell in the game from level 1 all the way to level 10. You cannot miss with it, and most enemies are vulnerable to it in the first 50 hours of the game or so. Vanish, great for skill checks on stealth and absolutely great to open fights if you have characters with sneak attack damage. Grease, crazy good and OP in the first 5 levels, or better to say during the entire Act 1. It falls off hard later on harder difficulties. Veil of Heaven, bread and butter for paladins as early spell. Defenses will go up, mandatory spell on Scylla for sure. Level 2 spells in your spellbook. You will get them around level 3 or 4. First in line is Bone Shaker, you cannot miss with it. Absolutely great damage dealing spell from Necromancy School. 8. Good to cast on tanks and bruisers for extra health bonus before entering combat. Effortless Armor, absolutely great on tanks to increase movement speed and reduce armor penalties. Protection from Alignment, Communal, AoE defense buff for your entire squad, valid from level 2 till the end of the game. Restoration, Lesser Restoration. Great one, but you can easily get them through scrolls instead of wasting points to learn them with your characters. It removes negative effects on your stats, or better to say, on your attributes. Web. Absolutely amazing during Act 1 and 2. Great crowd control spell that will buy you precious rounds during combat. Huge area of effect and duration too. Burning Arc, solid for swarms, you cannot miss with it, pretty much useless against everything else in the game. Completely useless on unfair difficulty. Barkskin, great spell to soak up damage, nothing else to say about it. Bull Strength, Owl's Wisdom, Eagle's Splendor, Cat's Grace, Bear's Endurance, all of those spells that raise your attributes are mandatory in this game, from start to finish. Scare, great against weaker enemies early on, huge area of effect too, it falls off hard from Act 2 and beyond. Sickening Entangle, crazy good, huge area of effect, it lasts long and it's extremely useful throughout your entire playthrough. It's the upgraded version of Entangle, basically. Pet, extremely good early on, place it on doors and narrow passages and watch enemies drown. Bluer, mandatory, enemies will miss you more often, useful all the way up to 100 hours in the game. Invisibility, great to cast on characters with sneak attack damage and open up fights with it. Mirror Image, mandatory, you're hard to hit, extremely hard to hit in other words, valid in all fights during Act 1 and most of the fights in the first 100 hours of the game. Crazy good spell as far as defenses go. Now we transfer to level 3 spells in the game, you get them from level 5 and onwards, level 5 and 6 mostly for all characters. First in line is Heroism, crazy good, +2 chance to hit, +2 all saves up and all skill checks up. It lasts a long time when you cast it. It's absolutely mandatory. Spiked Pet, it is a pet that deals damage basically compared to the regular pet. Nice crowd control, very good during Grey Garrison map. Put it on doors and narrow passages and watch enemies drown. Displacement, extremely hard to hit when you cast this, mandatory on tanks. Best combo in the game early on is Displacement, Mirror Image and Bluer combined on one character. That's the ultimate defense. Haste, best buff there is in early game all the way to level 20. Movement speed and extra attacks, what more do you want out of it? Crazy good spell, valid through the entire game. Resist Energy, Communal. Resist against all elements, you pick whether you want to be acid, fire, cold and so on. Huge AoE effect that lasts very long time, absolutely mandatory during Act 2. Pretty much useless during Act 1, you can only use it against Brimorax with Resist Fire. Animate Dead, absolutely great to distract enemies, especially if you roll well and summon 6 undead to fight for you. Delay Poison, Communal, great and mandatory spell during Act 2, not needed at all during Act 1. Stinking Cloud, great in Act 1, falls off a lot from Act 2 and beyond, good area of effect, extremely useful for disabling enemies in Act 1. Now we're gonna speak about potions a bit and I'll tell you what are the most important potions to buy in Act 1 while you are in Defender's Heart. Bluer, Invisibility, Displacement, Heroism Potion, Cat's Grace, Bull Strength, Aid, Enlarge, Cure Wounds, Magic Weapon, Align Weapon Good, Bless Weapon, Magical Vestment from Armor and Shield, Lesser Restoration, Protection from Evil and Chaos, and Resist Fire are all the potions you'll need from level 1 to level 6. Now we're gonna speak about scrolls and what scrolls to buy during Act 1 in Defender's Heart. Scrolls that you're gonna need from level 1 to level 6 are Bane, Expeditious Retreat, Hurricane Bow if you play with ranged character, Protection from Chaos or Evil Communal, Align Weapon Good, Bone Shaker, Cat's Grace, Bull Strength, Create Pet, Cure Light Wounds, Cure Moderate Wounds, Invisibility, Mirror Image, Resist Fire Scroll, See Invisibility, Stone Coal, Resist Fire Communal, Spiked Pet, Web, Stone Skin, absolutely great to have few stone skins early on, Restoration, Lesser Restoration, Protection from Arrows Communal, Haste, a few Fireballs, Displacement, Deep Slumber, Bless weapon, and of course heroism. So what are the most important spells in Act 1 all the way till you reach your first mythic pot? All spells I showed in this video are great and have their own purpose, but let's see what's the absolute best for unfair difficulty. If it works on unfair, it will work on all other difficulties as well. Here are the top 10 spells in a game during Act 1 from level 1 to level 6. Number 1 on this list is Heroism. Your hit chance goes up, saves go up, skill checks go up by +2. It lasts very long, it's absolutely great, and it completely deserves spot number 1. Spot number 2 goes to Haste. Extra speed and extra attacks valid from level 1 to level 20. Crazy good buff that lasts long. It's absolutely mandatory. Number 3, we're gonna divide number 3 on Mirror Image, Blur, and Displacement. Why? Because they merge well together. There is no playing without Displacement, Blur, and Mirror Image. Very good character to tank everything in Act 1 for those 3 spells. On spot number 3 would be Voljev. Alright, you cast Mirror Image, Displacement, and Blur on Voljev. He's basically unhittable and he buys you tons of rounds while staying alive. Place number 4 would be Attribute spells, or better to say Bull Strength and Cat's Grace. There's nothing to say about it. Your damage goes up, your hit chance goes up when you cast Bull Strength and Cat's Grace. On spot number 5 by importance we have Magic Missiles. Why? Because 99% of enemies in Act 1 can be damaged with Magic Missiles, and you cannot miss with Magic Missiles like with most of the spells in the game. This is absolutely mandatory for dealing damage. On spot number 6 we have Entangle, ultimate Act 1 crowd control with huge area of effect. It also receives an upgraded version of it in Sickening Entanglement once you level up a bit. On spot number 7 we have Web, absolutely great and mandatory, stacks well with Entangle. No one shall pass while you have Entangle and Web covering the ground. On spot number 8 we have Grease, crazy good on doors, narrow corridors, stacks great with Web and Entangle. Not a living soul shall pass when you cast those 3 combined. Spot number 9, True Strike, extremely important for unfair. When enemies refuse to get hit, True Strike is the only way to connect with them. Spot number 10 goes to Bless, it lasts long, you get it early on, huge AoE buff that lasts long, and your entire team is covered with it. Nothing more to say about it. Those would be top 10 spells in a game, and the spells that will drag your ass from level 1 to level 6, or better to say during Act 1. Most important spells in a game. I gave you best potions, best scrolls, best spells, and what to use. I targeted companions on purpose and not custom created characters. Of course, there are some spells from Necromancy School and so on. It depends what your main class is, but what I try to do is cover companions and all the spells, most useful spells that you can grab from them from start till the end of Act 1. I hope the video will help you out during your runs, especially on Unfair. It worked for me. I have no doubt it will also work for you. I thank you all for watching, and I'll be seeing you on the next one.